Hello everyone. Today we'll talk about Sitecore Connect for Content Hub 4.0, what's new. And a quick introduction about myself. I'm Sumith, Senior PM with Sitecore, in the industry for a very long time, and in the world of Sitecore for nearly 13 odd years. Working with at Sitecore for nearly 4.5 years now. And with me, I have Affreen Khan. She's our senior QA lead. I say nothing escapes her eyes. Anything more you want to add, Affreen, before we move to the next slide?
Yeah, hi. I'm working in Sitecore from last 4 years, and it's been a great experience. Yeah, I do make sure nothing escapes my eyes when testing. So, yeah.
Yeah. So mainly I've been working in the space of connectors now. I used to be a XP product manager, and then now I'm thinking how to expose Sitecore outside of to the outside world. So we are mainly responsible for now Salesforce Marketing Cloud, the Content Hub connectors, the Microsoft connectors, and CRM connectors. So anything around that, if you guys are using it or if you are planning to use it, just let us know. We can help you guys on that. Based on what we wanted to talk about today, I'm just going to go a bit more historical. As you guys know or heard about the problems that our marketeers face today, the content crisis. So together with Sitecore XP and Content Hub, we are trying to solve that at a scale so that they can actually use the power of personalization and the power of Content Hub. So you plan your content in a centralized repository, and then you orchestrate that to deliver that personalized experience through, the key here is various different channels and the touch points that your customers are using. And then the idea is to have a shared data where the content is used between and passed between XP and Content Hub to help the marketeers and the team work in a smarter way. Right now, what you see is basically they're working too hard to get that data across various different channels. So this picture will actually give you an idea of where things can happen. So in Sitecore Content Hub, you do planning, collaboration, content management, and then in XP, you do orchestration. So this is a bird's eye view of the components that is involved in our marketing Content Hub. And you can see that you can aggregate content from various different channels that is on my left-hand side. So you can bring it from your agency content, some from file servers, and then you can use the Sitecore Marketing Content Hub as your repository where you can manage, create, collaborate, search, download, both content and media. It will also help you to create, use the creative tool that is the. Can you please mic? Can you please mute your mic? Hello? Yeah, it's better.
Yes, sorry, it's better now. Sorry about that.
It's better now. So yeah, you can use the Marketing Content Hub for use the power of the creative project management and the collaboration tool that it provides. And then finally, once you're done that, you can publish and analyze your content to anything. And CMS is one of the channels. And I think this could be, if you can think about it, our XM or XP as a CMS. It could be anything else at the same time. So channels and content must be agnostic for our customers. So, we encourage you to start exploring the content pillar in Content Hub to plan, collaborate, and manage your content. So if you see, again, you can use the Content Hub as your TAM component where you can have your images and videos, CMP for your content, where you compose that, and then you use Sitecore Experience Platform that can be used for personalization and optimization. And then once you get some idea of how the content is performing in those channels, you can then again plan, collaborate, review, and approve content. Yeah, so that is kind of a flow we believe you should be trying. So who's going to be involved in this? Yeah, so we can see the content authors and editors and reviewers, they are creating content in Content Hub. Then you have people who are designing the content models. That those could be the content strategists and even developers. And what we believe is basically it's not just one person or one team. It's a combination of multiple teams that can think of how the content should be flowing. And finally, developing applications, which could be front-end, mobile apps, or anything else that will display the content from Content Hub. So these are the people who are involved in the content lifecycle. Yeah, so there are multiple ways to get content from Content Hub. I'm just taking one connectivity, which is the path to the path that will take from Content Hub to Sitecore. So we have a connector, Sitecore Connect for Content Hub. This connector will enable us to transfer data between Sitecore and Content Hub. Initially, when we started a year ago, we had multiple connectors for the same, CMP and DAM. Now we recently merged that as one, hence the 4.0 version. And it supports various different version of Sitecore. So we have it's supporting from Sitecore 9.3 onwards. We have a special connector for Sitecore 9.1.1. Yeah, so that is also supported, and all of these are like one connector. So you can have Sitecore Connect for Content Hub 3.1 and 4.0 to for our customers. What we notice is a lot of people are still on 9.1.1 till now, so we needed to give them a special connector for that. What you get, so what is in there? So the first version we had resilience. We supported simple field types. We also had taxonomy support. Then I think the one which we are talking about right now, the 3.1 and the 4.0 connector, we support multiple entities and PCM. We support related and relationships. And also we support containers. So if you know Sitecore 10 and 10.1 onwards, containerization and Docker was one of the key feature, and the connector also supports that. What is coming in an upcoming release would be around DAM enhancements, where my content is being used. We can actually also let our authors know how the content is the content coming from Content Hub, or is it a content that you have created yourself, and the other features could be analytics and workflows. So that's how all the features looks like for our connectors, and I think it's a bit more rounded off now. It is it covers a lot of the customer requirements that you can do. So what we put together, myself and Affreen, is a demo story for you guys, and we will go through a little bit more. So it's kind of a technical session rather than me talking a lot about all the features. So the story takes us to Delicious. It's an agency that focuses on food and beverage industry. They wanted to be the biggest blogger to become an online phenomenon where they promote healthy eating and homemade recipes and so. So that's an idea. That's an agency. They're looking for some tools that can help us, a platform that for creating the most effective campaigns within the food industry. So that's what they are looking for. And we're just going to look into one channel today, which is the web channel, yeah, and the talk is around that. So that's the website, or the look and feel they're aiming for. It has various different recipes, some articles based on those recipes, some chefs who would be writing recipes for them. So how would a content strategist think about that? Yeah, so what the problem statement here is, basically they're thinking about, I need to create a data model that should support various different channels. As I said, Sitecore Content Hub can help them to have a common repository. So that may help it to place all their models into one place. So let's see what would be the next step when they're thinking about that. So they think about converting that requirement into a model. Yeah, so that is the representation of the marketing world of our customer. The thing about entities that should be stored, the relationship between them. So in this case, it would be something to do with recipe, because it's a recipe food blogging website that needs some ingredients. And then what we can also think about is they may be selling some ingredients as a product. So that needs some PCM capabilities. The recipe will have some chefs. The chef may write some articles and so and so. That's like a rough domain model they would be thinking about, and they will build that in Content Hub. So if you look into Content Hub will show the schema view of how those relationships are being built. So you can see that it starts with assets. So this is the out-of-the-box domain model schema in Content Hub, and then the ones that you create. Yeah, you can easily visualize how the relationships have been set. So what we will go through today is basically build that relationship within Content Hub and then get the site up and running. Yeah, so you will create a recipe model and then you'll create some ingredients and so and so and so and so. Yeah, so you build all those relationships today and see how that fits together. But this is all done in Content Hub. Yeah, so the equivalent is either done in Sitecore, or what we can do is basically it's an ongoing website and we would like to do the reverse. Yeah, so you build a similar templates. So translating the language between Content Hub and Sitecore, so you build similar templates in Sitecore, and that will look like this. So you got recipe template, you got ingredient template, you got chef, and then you got related images for those ones. So that's how the relationship would translate in the world of Sitecore CMS. Okay, I'll ask Affreen now to have show you guys how this can be translated into Content Hub and Sitecore, and also she will go through some code or some demos for that. Yes, Affreen, can you pick this up now?
Yep. Thank you, Sumit. So let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So as Sumit mentioned, I'll be going through the setup part of it and showing you how it's actually done from the backend. So to start with, first I would like to just brief you with some of the basics of Content Hub, like what Content Hub is and what it is made up of. So the first thing everyone get to know about Content Hub is entities. Entities in Content Hub is basically everything. It's a set of data that belongs together. Each entity represents the real world concepts of TAM, which is like either an asset, a product, a brand, a recipe. Content Hub support out of the box entities, which comes under the CMP umbrella. And then of course, they have the power of customization where you can find your own entity creations. So when we talk about entity, the question comes how we can create entity. So then the word schema come into play. The schema actually defines how entity is structured. That includes the metadata, the properties, the relations, the taxonomies that needs to be defined at the structure level. So schema or entity definition, we call it, is where the whole thought process of content modeling comes into place. We start thinking about how we want to structure our properties of a particular content. Then this all will happen at the developer level or maybe a strategist level. But to make life easier for a content strategist or content manager, Content Hub provides an option of pages, which actually help them to change, update, remove, or do any changes in the entities through a very easy to use UI. So that's a very important feature that we have. Then state flows. Sitecore Content Hub allows designing digital logic within the content creation process. It supports state flow concepts that can be enabled for any content type. When I say state flow, so each state in a state flow is a step in the life cycle of that content. So the content needs to reach to the final state to be able to be published in any of the channel we want it to be. So yeah, we can say it's like a workflow. It also helps us to make sure the right content is getting published, because there will be approvals channel that someone has to approve it. So it goes through multiple eyes there. Now, a few more terms like triggers. Triggers in Content Hub, it's like a tongue twister. Triggers are defined to trigger one or more action here. So action is basically in Content Hub are basically the task that needs to be performed when a particular condition is met. Um, we have manual triggers as well. We have automated triggers, which can be run through the process. Action which I will usually I'm going to use today will be Azure Service Bus action, but it also comes with an API call, Azure Event option, and of course you can create your own scripts and make it run through actions. And yeah, so now the way flexible term taxonomies come into play in Content Hub, which is used by the content modeler a lot. Taxonomies basically are the subset of metadata. They are hierarchical and can have many values, so it's easier for them to, tag any entity with any kind of tag they want. For example, taxonomies can be like a location, can be something like difficulty level, or whatever you want to tag content with, you can mark them as a taxonomy. And of course, they are searchable, and they are separately paged on Content Hub. Lastly, I would like to talk about calendars, because we are defining here a campaign for Delicious. The calendar actually provides an overview of the content and the publication date of the content when it will be available. So by using calendar, a content model can actually see when the data or what content will be available and what dates. So yeah, that's very useful for content strategies to access it. The next thing is assets, very important one for data modeling. Assets are one of the most frequently used entities in Content Hub. They are version media files. They can be an image, video, text file, PDF, etc. They are uploaded and managed on Content Hub, and the DAM connector actually provide direct access to them. So we can actually access them through Sitecore as well environment. One thing that we actually, the backside of the connector, use a lot is this action auditing. It really helps us to debug, or it really helps us to know where we are going with the process of entity sync. It's an auditing option, comes under actions, which help to figure out was the last trigger successful of the action or not. So yeah, I have a screenshot here. I'll show you more later in the actual site as well. Okay, so yeah, as Sumit mentioned, I'm going to explain a little bit about what Content Hub 4.0 does. It's a combination of the connector, which was CMP, and DAM. It provides the ability to work with content created in Content Hub in Sitecore. The content is automatically created and updated when a particular stage is reached in Content Hub or it's changed. Similarly, it's also provide the ability to access the assets from Sitecore environment. User can select or change images without going into the Content Hub from the Sitecore interface itself. So this whole come in one package now, which is Sitecore Connect for Content Hub. And how does it actually works? So yeah, so we have Content Hub here. So we define a trigger action here, which goes on a service bus. The action will be publishing message. The publishing message reach Azure bus, and then we at the Sitecore, we do set up to listen to it. As soon as the Sitecore listen the message or picks the message from the service bus, it calls, it creates an API call to Content Hub directly. The message, publishing message, actually contained the entity which was either created or modified. So with entity ID, we do a call to the API and we get the whole JSON format data for that. And then as per the mappings where we have done in the Sitecore side, like the one-to-one mappings, the entity is created or updated in the Sitecore contacts. So, and then when it's done, we send back a message that, oh, yeah, this has been created, which is open to be consumed by Content Hub side. Yep. So the configuration of the Connect for Content Hub basically is done in 3 steps. The first steps is your service bus. The second is Sitecore, and the third one is to do a little bit of tinkering here in Content Hub. I will briefly go through all of them quickly. So the first service bus, we need to create a service bus on an Azure environment. And once we have the service bus ready, we need to create 2 topics to listen and to send messages. And of course, we need to create the shared policies for them, which will later be used under connection strings. So once we have that ready, we can start listening to it by adding a subscription to the topic. So I have already set up mine, and it's, you can see I just screenshotted it, and yeah, we have some incoming message, outgoing messages. So it's give us a graph of ideally it should be the same. That means what you are listening is actually being heard by someone. So yeah, so if this setup is done, then you should be able to see some messages coming and going through that. The second part of the configuration is Sitecore setup. So the Sitecore setup includes, first of all, the installation, and then adding the connection strings, which will include the connection string to your Content Hub instance, as well as the service bus you have just created. Apart from that, the developer has to create some templates which they want the item to be created from on Sitecore, and then they need to map it to the Content Hub entities or fields that they want to bring in here. And lastly, they need to update the web config file for DAM configuration so that they can access data DAM part of Content Hub as well. So once once you install, you should be able to see a CMP bucket here, and then 2 options under modules, which will be the configuration setups for CMP and DAM. The last part, the Content Hub part. So this is really interesting. So for Content Hub part, we need to create a trigger which will have an action and a condition. The action will define the task which needs to be done, and the condition will define when it needs to be done. So for in the screenshot, you can see that I have this Azure action here, which will send a message to my service bus in topic and condition. I don't have it in the screen, but I'll show you later. So the condition will be like, I can define it, oh, when it's in a publishing state, or when it's in ready state, or when it's just in created state, or in a draft state, or maybe when the name is not empty. It's a very customized thing here. You can define the condition as per your convenience. So that's there. And last thing you need to do on the Content Hub side is to update the course configuration with the name of your Sitecore instance. Once all the setup is done, we are actually ready to create data. So let me quickly close this one, and let's get creating data. So this is how it looks like. This is one of our sandbox instance of Content Hub that I use. You can see all the entities that I talked about are here. Everything is an entity. This is also an entity here. So this is entities here. So these are the paged object which has been compiled under the name of their schemas. These contains all the items or entities created under particular schema. So this is the recipe schema that we will be helping Delicious with. So we will be creating some recipe for them so that they can publish it on their web channel. So you can see that you can see that a lot of recipes are already created here, so they are there. And if you go details, you can see how the recipe is defined. So you can see there are different sections like main, preparation, relation, workflow, assignment. So this is defined here. And where they come from is actually they come from their schemas. One option is to directly go from schema is here. And another option is to go through schemas through the setting page. So this one, and here you have options to go through schemas. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to go to FL recipe. Here, as I mentioned, schemas or entity definition, we define everything. What all properties it will have, what all relationship it will have, what all state flow it needs to go through. We define at the definition level. So you can see here we have a recipe name, a recipe type, which is a string, option list. We define property field types as well here. I define relationship is here, like this one is a relationship to an ingredient list. But to make life easier, for a content strategist, what we can do is we can create pages that they can view directly. So one can go under pages and can define how a content strategist will see the UI. So you can see a recipe option here, which has 3 options here, which actually has been created from here. So under recipes, you can see there will be 3 options. And then under chefs, recipes, ingredients, and then I'm going to use recipe. And I have this, like it had defined how this will look like, how the detail page will look like, how the creation page will look like detail page, it will have a state flow, a viewer, a tab, a ingredient title, some entity operation in the header zone. So I defined the whole page here. So once what a content strategist have to do is just basically go here, go to the recipes, and he will be able to see all the recipes as well. He can create the recipe from here. Okay, I'll come back to this again, but let me first give you a little bit brief about the trigger. So under triggers, you will see that I have created a trigger, which is a delicious trigger, going with the theme. Here we have defined 3 things: what's general, conditions, and actions. General, basically the name and description and what event it needs to perform. The action, as I showed you in the screenshot, is the Azure action, which it needs to be performed on the task, right? And then everything I defined here. So this is very important part of the setup of Content Hub site. Then now coming back to conditions, I have some conditions for the entity that I want to sync. For example, recipe. I want to sync my recipe. So I just made a very simple condition, not to make it complicated. So whenever the name is not empty, it should trigger my action. Similarly with the ingredient, whenever the name is not empty, it should trigger my action, and I should be able to see the entity synced as a Sitecore item later. I'll just show you the auditing option as well. So whenever an action is triggered, the log comes in here, and then you can see that, yeah, this was last done, and this was the entity ID that was published. So I can check in my logs and Sitecore as well that was this published or not, and then I can see in the bus as well that was this message passed or not. So yeah, I guess I covered. Now coming back to the recipes, now as they want us to facilitate some campaign for them, so let's create some recipe for them, I guess. So I'm gonna quickly turn up a breakfast meal, and it's a breakfast types. So I know what I want here. I'm just creating here. The content modeling, schema creation, definitions has been done already. It's the final stage of data creation. So, and the cuisine type, I will icon. Okay, and then I'm gonna add some steps to it. So yeah, this is the steps. I already have it, so I don't have to do again. And then I create it. So now I'm viewing the page view of it. Now if I click on here, I'm gonna view the detailed view of it that has been defined in the pages. So here you can see I have this here. If I want, I can add more details, like in preparation, I'm gonna add, it takes 15 minutes, or also 15 minutes to cut some fruits and prep for it. Sorry, not this one. And then I'm gonna mark it as easy. I think it's easy. I save it, and then I want to add some ingredients. So I need honey, raspberry, oats, nuts, blueberries. So these are already been created at the ingredient list level, so I can just relate to it and save it. Now I want some pic to be attached to it, so I'm gonna use an existing image. I can select, I guess I had, yep, this one. Add, refresh, I should be able to see it, and then I'm gonna make it as master. So it will be my thumbnail and everything for the picture now. So once this done, what the expectation is that because we are using Connect for Sitecore, it should appear in Sitecore. But how? We haven't done anything there yet. So let me just switch it to Sitecore. So in Sitecore, to make sure that it comes here, we need to do a couple of things. First, as I mentioned, we need to install the package. So yeah, it's already there. I can show you, I have it. And then I need to create some templates. So we are working with the Delicious website here. So we have created the website here. So all the templates are in the feature option of ours. So all the recipes, ingredients, everything we have defined here. So we can see that recipes, I have a recipe name, date, ID, description, type, main ingredients, difficulty, images. This is Sitecore template I have defined. Now I want to map it. How would I do that? I will go to CMP part of the configuration and I'm gonna create recipe mapping entity here. Here I will define what goes where, basically. So like, just to give recipe names. So the recipe name, which comes from here, goes into Sitecore recipe name. But the tricky part is, how would I know the name of this, right? So for that, what like it's maybe an internal thing, but I'm gonna share it with you anyways. So we take the ID from here, and then there is this API access that is available, and I'm gonna go and check it out. So this will give me the JSON format of the whole data that's there, right? So here I can see that what I want to bring. So for me, I want to bring the name, the recipe name. So this is what I want to map, and this is the CMP field name I want to bring, and where I want to bring in my Sitecore template recipe name. Similarly, I have mapped everything here, and then I have, so as I mentioned, all the ingredients were created already, so they were synced already when I created them. So once I have them, then I guess I should be able to see oatmeal cereal here. So yep, it's there. And you can see I added the cooking time, it comes from there, but steps comes from there, and I guess I also mapped the difficulty level, so I marked it at easy and it comes from there. So what I just need to do is just I want to make sure I pass it on the recipe, ingredients, save, and I want to publish it. And I guess once it's published, I should be able to see it. Yay! So it's published. We have the renderings already set in place. So as soon as it comes here, I just make sure the ingredients are right, and then it should appear here. Now, it doesn't look complete. Maybe I need one more ingredient. Let me quickly add a cherry to it. So I'm gonna go to schemas. This one ingredient list is a custom schema. I just created it so it doesn't come under recipes now because I just created it as a part of my custom schema entity. Show entities, and I'm gonna add one new entity here. Cherry, red cherry maybe. One, and doesn't have much calorie, but yeah. save. And let's see if we have it here. Let me refresh. Come on. They're not created.
Meanwhile, can you add the cherry to the recipe also? Just so that we can...
Yeah, it should be here. I can quickly, just give me a second. I'm gonna.
Great, man! I told you he'd get in trouble. You're gonna I got this.
Okay, I was. I have two votes. Okay. Okay, let me add another vote then, just to show you that it works. And publish. Publish. Yes, and then let's see. It should have. Yep, and
2-second vote also.
I guess I didn't publish it. Maybe
It was there.
it was there. Okay, so cool. So yeah, I can see oats there. So that's the part there. And what else? So yeah, this is basically the whole workflow of the items you can change here. And just to conclude, I will just show you how the DAM part works here. So you can see the image field will have a link of browse Sitecore DAM, right? So you can, this is the image I selected, but I can, if I want, I can change through it. So it will provide me access to DAM assets directly. And yeah, so I can select any other picture I want. Maybe I can replace it with the fruit bar. Then I can just select the public link for that. And yeah, I should save it. And then that's the easy option of, you know, changing the images from here itself rather than going to the content hub there. And to conclude, I guess I'll bring back the slides. So yeah, the last one.
Just one more request. Can you update the name of the recipe just for to make it not look like dark magic?
Hey, Sumit, we can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes.
Yes. Just
Okay.
was asking, can you show this one more update? Yeah, that looks good. Awesome.
Okay. Okay.
And content, I think I'm not able to see the site code.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm checking it. So I'm gonna refresh it. Yep, oatmeal suck. So you can see that's there. Yeah,
exactly.
so any changes are actually real time. So whatever I change here, as soon as save my entity in here will appear in there. So if you want, like, I can go and maybe change. Okay, I will see that. Oh, it's not easy. It's very easy. So yeah, and I'm gonna say, okay, it's actually sub Bangalore. So I'm gonna add PN, right? So here, and then let's check in Sitecore. Yep. So enter recipes. Okay, it's still in the process. I'm actually using my service bus, which is actually loaded with lots of messages. It should appear here. Yep, so Bangalore you can see here, and hopefully we will see a new, very easy tag coming up as well here. So yep, it might take more seconds, but it works. So yeah, I wanted to show you the last slide.
Can you do me
Sorry, I
one
have
more
to.
favor, Afreen? Can you show the mapping for related entities? I just wanted to cover
Okay.
that during the demo. Yeah, so we had the relationship between ingredients and recipes, and that is also defined in the, yeah.
So under module CMP settings, so I have this ingredient, where is that description field in,
Maybe the hero image is more than enough, yeah.
yeah, the hero images. So this, so okay, let me explain from here. So we have different entity types here. So the first one is field mapping, which is direct, simple field to field mapping. Then we have a relationship field mapping, which actually maps the relationship to a particular field inside core. And then we have this tag field mapping, which actually brings taxonomies as tags inside core. Then we have this related entity mapping, which actually bring the related entities, for example here, the hero image as inside core entity. So in this we need to define, of course, the relationship, what relationship I want to bring, and of course the Sitecore field I want to bring it to. And again, going back to the same API, there is this whole list of relationship you can check from. And then this is the hero image I wanted to bring, so I just take the name of this relationship, put in here there, and then it just creates the mapping for me. And then it just syncs the image to the Sitecore item. Yep.
No more requests from me.
Okay, can I just go to the last slide then? I have to scroll all through the last one. So yeah, so yep, so now that you can see that how good this connector is, it also enables the marketer to connect, to create content in one central place and then push into different channels. One which we showed you is the web one. It creates the synergy between the digital and the creative team, so that work together as a collaboration, the content modeling, the modeling and definitions in place, and then the strategies just have to go and create data and then start pushing it to the slides, pushing it to the sites. So yeah, that's all I guess. So thank you.
Yep, thank you. Any questions or any queries, or you can get it on dev.sitecore.com. The source code I should have put a link over here, or I'll paste it in the chat. The source code for Delicious is on GitHub, so you can actually use GitHub for yeah. It's based on the old Sitecore. It is, when I say old Sitecore, it's not a headless, or it's a simple Helix-based website. So you got different components for recipes, ingredients, and blogs, and so and so. And then what we wanted to display with the demo site was basically the component-based architecture that Sitecore supports, and how you can actually create something similar in Content Hub that doesn't have any display or any a view of how the content would be presented, and then use the power of Sitecore to present that thing using .NET. But that can be easily translated to headless or anything else. I'm not able to see the chat. It's been disabled, but yeah, I can share that link to the GitHub repository of Delicious too. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, Sumith, Atul here. Thank you for nice demo. I had one question. Basically, when we saw that the images are being pulled from the DAM, right, from the image field directly. So the images that we are seeing, all the assets that we are seeing are published one, right, from DAM. So is it possible to show only particular collections, like in Sitecore, what we do, we restrict the fields to particular data source locations to select particular images, right? Is it possible here as well?
Right now it is configured to a search page. Yeah, so yes, you can configure it to a particular page, but it is for the entire DAM connector. Yeah, so the search page configuration is defined in the configuration file. Yeah, and it is a page that you can create, just like what Affreen showed you for recipes. You had a page created for your content strategist. Similar to that, we can actually define a page for the DAM search page. Yeah, so this is the criteria for that particular page. Yeah, you can define this, like only content that are approved and are tagged with Sumith. Yeah, only show them. Yeah, and that is a page that will display that. My wishful thinking, or a bit more futuristic, would be to make it a bit more configurable, like the way we do it for sites. Yeah, so if you have multi-sites, you can actually then pass that information back to them, saying, okay, and also add to your search criteria another tag which is site A or site B, but that is not there yet. But yes, you can configure it to a limit, and that is going to be applied for every DAM what you call link. Yeah. And it's in the web.config file, you can see the search page URL, and that's what you need to configure there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other?
All right, I think we can wrap it up now then. If any of you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to Sumith or Affreen directly. So thank you so much, Sumith and Affreen, and thank you everyone for joining as well. We'll be sharing a recording of this session on our channel as well. So thank you, and until next time, bye-bye.
Thank you guys, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.